Welcome to the Matrix Unveiled.
Your feeble efforts amuse me, human.
To Matrix Unveiled, and this one is a supplemental edition, an extra edition, and it's about the tenets of Self-Power Foundation, the Matrix Unveiled MAXIMS, and it's going to be a shock. It's going to be a problem to some of you, and for some it's going to be an insurpassable problem. For others, I would recommend that you keep a very open mind and give some serious thought to each of these. And some of them will be more challenging to you than others. It's up to you to decide which is which. Okay, now there's going to be 13 maxims. A couple of them have got supplementals. But I just want to say that a self-leader, or as we say it here, a sleader. You see, let's just read Maxim 1. A self-leader, sleader, by definition, has close to zero external controls affecting their life. I think if you think about that for a moment, it's kind of self-evident. If you're a self-leader, you're not going to have too many external controls affecting you. But I do want to talk about a self-leader just for a moment. A self-leader is not someone who decides one day that they are in charge. A self-leader, you see, knows what's going on, how the human societal world works, and to some extent the way the universal principles, how the universal laws work. And with this knowledge, which they quickly turn to wisdom, they are worthy and capable of being self-referral leaders, because they are working towards their purpose, and their purpose is in tune with the universe, with creation, with source, if you like. So a self-leader in the Self-Leader Foundation definition is someone who knows how the world works, has a working knowledge of universal principles, puts that knowledge together as wisdom that they can live by, and that wisdom is in tune with the universal laws. So it's not just someone who wakes up one morning and thinks, I'm an anarchist, I want to be leader. Okay, I just want to make that crystal clear at the start. So that's Maxim 1. And now I've gone the wrong way. I'm really struggling with this. Oh, I'm sorry about this. We're trying to get to slide 2. It's not playing ball. Okay, we've gone the long way round. Never us mind. Maxim 2. Con artists seek to maximize wealth and pleasure by extorting values from others. This is done by conning skills, cash, effort, and most preciously, time, your lifespan, with no intention of a fair exchange. See, there is no problem with giving your skills and your efforts and your time in exchange for something that you think is worthy of that, albeit money or something else. That's not the problem. The problem is when a con artist seeks to take those skills, those resources, those values, with no intention of giving a fair exchange, or indeed any exchange, on the most part. And they seek to do it from as many people as they can as well. Maxim 3. A sleeker, a self-leader seeker, a sleeker must confront and defeat all the 6 illusions. They will not become a self-leader sleader until this is accomplished. and to remind you. Now, I just want to say I'm going to give very brief commentary on these maxims. If to take these 13 maxims and to understand them, comprehend them, and live by them is going to take a long time. And that's what we're all about. We've got the time, we've got the place, but for the sake of brevity, I'm going to give as little commentary as I feel I can as we go through these maxims today. Okay, but I will remind you what the 6 illusions are. Number 1, officialdom, state and patriotism. 2 is religious faiths and cults. 3 is family and social. 4, content manipulators. 5, professional value extractors. And 6 is economics and currency. You see, the system's working perfectly. It was designed to fail. We're moving on to Maxim 4 now. No more than 1 in 15,000 people will even consider escaping to perfection and live a life of power, freedom and happiness. And therefore, objections like, what if everyone started behaving like this? Or what if everyone became a self-leader? Those objections are irrelevant. There are 7.5 billion people on the planet, and I reckon a generous estimate of 500,000 people are even mildly aware that they might want to consider escaping genuinely consider escaping from their misery, poverty, and being trapped, to escape to perfection, to live a life of power, freedom and happiness. There are very, very relatively few people that are ever going to even consider it, let alone actually go through the effort of doing it. So objections like, what if everyone started behaving like this, are irrelevant. Maxim 5. Altruism is the key to fulfillment. Its rarity displays the lack of genuinely happy people on the planet. And this is going to knock the socks off of anyone who thought I was on some kind of libertarian soapbox. Clearly, I'm not. Altruism is the key to fulfillment. It's a basic tenet of the Self-Power Foundation. And it's no doubt a shock and surprise to many people watching and listening. Maxim 6. Leaders, by definition, form their own reasoned and consistent moral system, taking complete responsibility for their actions and consequences of them. So self-leader, it's self-evident then that they have their own system. They don't necessarily follow the legal, moral, cultural, societal systems of where they are residing. They may or they may not. But if they don't, they have reasoned out their own moral system and are prepared to accept the responsibilities of acting within their system, which is outside of the system of where they are residing. So you have a couple of choices. If you are living somewhere where your moral system doesn't fit in with the way things are, then you can either take the consequences of that or move to somewhere where the consequences are less severe. Maxim 7. The universe is completely fair. However, the understanding of how it works is almost completely unknown to the normal sleeper. And thereby, to most, it seems the world is irrational and unfair. Now, I've coined the term sleeper for someone who is asleep, the vast mass of the populations, asleep at the wheel, and sometimes referred to as sheep because they are followers rather than leaders. So they are sleepers. Now, a self-leader is at least conversant with universal principles and law and understands from that perspective that the universe is completely fair. But from a smaller, lower perspective, most people in their short-term, low perspective consider the world to be bonkers, irrational and unfair. It isn't, but it seems that way to those who don't know. Even if unfair things happen, the law of karma will give restitution. However, this is not your concern. You only need to be in the now and deal with what is actually happening right this instant. Right action in the right way at the right time. Accept it, change it, or leave. All else is madness. And that's a quote from Eckhart Tolle. Kind of along the same lines, though. Maxim number 8. Sleepers are so deeply unaware and easily manipulated by the con artist's tactics that they never comprehend why they do what they do. An example of this would be millions of people going off to fight for their country. Patriots fighting for their country without a clue as to why they're really being asked to give up their lives. And you can be sure it isn't the reason given in the content manipulated media. I mentioned there the con artist's tactics, so I'll just briefly, I'm just going to list what they are. We talk about those elsewhere. The tactics are violence, threat of violence, guilt trips and shame, propaganda, shills, outright lies and secrets. So that's the first 4. Number 5 is doing your bit. Number 6 is selfish service. Number 7 is association. And number 8, acceptance. They are the tactics used by con artists and are covered elsewhere. We don't have time to go into detail here on this special edition for the Maxims. Maxim number 9. Religious faiths and cults are con artist creations that allows the elite clergy to extract value from the followers. Now this has been practiced for time immemorial, for millennia, thousands of years, hundreds of years, but certainly still true today. Millions of people, even today, are conned by the clergy of faiths and cults. And even those that think that they are atheists have still been brought up in society either governed by religious upbringing or society norms, so ingrained that they don't think to challenge or question them. And as a supplemental to that, Maxim 9a, truth doesn't come with a price, but purveyors carry a heavy burden, so only the proven, sincere seeker will be initiated. So truth is freely available, but only to those sleekers, those self-leadership seekers that genuinely, sincerely and provably will take that knowledge and turn it into wisdom, the wisdom to become a self-leader. Because those self-leaders that take on the burden of helping a seeker, they become responsible until the seeker has succeeded in becoming fully awake and fully aware self-leader. That is a heck of a responsibility. And I just also point out the truth is provided freely to the right people, but support and coaching, distillation and commentary, other products, other services to aid the seeker, they, by necessity, can be fee-based and charged for. But no one who is a true self-leader will withhold the truth from a genuine seeker. You can rest assured on that. Maxim number 10. Human cultural norms, societal obligations and legal rules depend on your geographic location and the subjugation of the local population by the con artists in charge, and they change constantly. So what we're saying here, it harps actually back to, and we talked earlier about your moral system in Maxim 6. This harps back to that because what happens to you and how you're punished or rewarded depends entirely upon period in history you're living, where you are, and how controlling the authorities in charge, the con artists in charge, are. So like I said before, you have a choice. You can either move somewhere where there's less authority and your moral system is more congruent with the legal rules and society obligations of a different location, or you can take the consequences of acting by your moral system in an unfree environment in which you don't agree with everything presented to you. Again, I'm not talking about anarchy here. Some rules and obligations and cultural norms, a lot of them are common sense and obvious, and, a self-leader would have no issue with them. But just to make it crystal clear that you are living your life as a self-leader and you are in the so-called real world, so you have to balance up with what risk and reward you're prepared to accept. And Maxim 10 is just making that clear. Maxim 11, a leader lives in the present, is in control and takes right action, regardless of possible future outcomes. Responsibility rests easily on the shoulders of the leader. This is very important. A self-leader lives now, in the now. They are in control of their mind, of their body, and they take the principled right action for that moment, the only moment there is. It's very important this is done regardless of what you think might happen in the future. You don't know. All you know is now. So your only responsibility is to take right action now, and that is a heck of a responsibility, but it rests easy on your shoulders because you can be certain you're doing the right thing, as long as you are a true self-leader, that you know how the world works and you know how the universal laws and principles work. And as a supplement to that, and to back up what I'm just saying, Maxim 11a, now is the only time you can make a difference. There's no point in considering a second ago, a millennia ago, an ice age ago, and there is no point in thinking about what might happen in the next second, the next minute or hour. Anything could happen. The only time you can make a difference is now. And this is why the con artists seek to prevent you from living in the present by spreading fear and confusion about what might happen in the future. Be constantly aware that the only time you can make a difference is now, and that is why you live in the present moment. Maxim 12. A leader has no expectations, no attachments, and makes no judgments. In this way, they remain completely in control of their response to whatever is happening around them. A leader is therefore free to act and not fooled into reaction. Very, very important maxim, Maxim 12. I would urge you to cogitate upon it, think about it, digest it, and understand what it's saying. You do not give power away to anyone, anything. You are self-referral, self-reliant, and a self-leader. You have no expectations of what someone else may or may not do. You have no attachment to any particular result. You will deal with whatever happens on a moment-by-moment basis. And you make no judgment. You are not here to judge other people, other situations. You are here to learn life's lessons, which is given to you, and that's why these things are happening to you in this moment. Learn from that and remain completely in control. Act, don't react. Maxim 13. Relationships with others are based on how the leader may serve, with no consideration of return in some imaginary future moment. A leader's purpose is to give, as it is sure to result in fulfillment and joy, which, along with learning life's lessons, are the reasons they live, and indeed the reasons for life. We are here to serve selflessly, to serve, and by serving others, the result is fulfillment and joy. We are talking about the escape to perfection from misery, being trapped and broke. You see, the journey is the destination. To be happy, powerful and free, these things are infinite and eternal while you remain in the ever-present moment and while you remain true to them. It takes courage, yes. It means taking right action in the right way at the right time, regardless of what might happen. Why? Have you something better to do? You see, this is it, the key to living. Being worried you might upset someone or that someone won't like it is not the mindset of a self-leader. A leader is in tune with their mission and with how the universe works, so they are sure and certain that the actions they take are the best for everyone, even if they don't appear to be at the moment they occur. A leader is also compassionate, not after name, fame or gain as a direct result. They act from subjective principles, not objective specifics. A self-leader is not about stuffing an extra tenner in his pocket. He's about doing the right thing for the whole of creation. This is a hell of a responsibility to be a self-leader, and no wonder why by far the world's majority refuse to accept that responsibility. It's tough, but how else can you live? Why would you consider not being a self-leader? I don't know, but most people do. I hope these maxims have helped as well as shocked. It's my intention, obviously, that they help you to live as a leader, and I encourage you on your journey as a sleeker. If it's not for you, thank you for watching and listening, and if it is, why not join us over at facebook.com/selfpowerfoundation and comment and give questions and support and help on the comments under this video. This is Paul Lestar from Self Power Publications, and on behalf of the Self Power Foundation. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.